Okay, and my point number 5, why anime is so interesting and so good, in my opinion, is a bit of a personal thing. It is that anime does not really care that much about political correctness or accepted Western social norms. Anime can be both very refined and intellectual and aesthetically pleasing, but it can also be very nasty, bloody, dramatic, and highly politically incorrect. And it's perhaps a bit of a personal bias, but I have a relatively hard time watching most modern Western TV series and most movies also, because they're either too stupid, too superficial, or too politically correct. So basically, there has to be some kind of black guy, transgender guy, guy in a wheelchair, some bossy super scientist type of woman who is more intelligent than everybody. Although this also occurs in anime a lot, so yeah, and basically, and so on and so on. And there is tons of things that you can say, you can't show, because it's no go. You aren't allowed to do that, and you'll get sued for slander, blah blah blah. I don't like that, because I consider this to be a kind of a thought police, and basically, the US is already a kind of an Orwellian 1984 state where people are thought policed into thinking specific stuff, and when it doesn't agree with the party line or the dogma, it just doesn't compute. And there is a central ministry of truth, basically, which kind of enforces the line. And I mean, in Orwell's book, it was one ministry, but in real life, it's more like the whole, corporate culture and news corporation culture, this kind of stuff. I mean, all those journalists, they know exactly what they can write and what they cannot write. And same goes for the scenario writers and TV producers and whatever. I mean, sometimes some guy slips through the cracks and something relatively politically incorrect gets said or published, but usually repercussions follow very quickly, and the person in charge is sacked or sued or whatever. And in anime, or to step back a bit, in manga, because manga is basically the source for most, at least many anime scenarios, it rarely cares about all that, because I mean, when some mangaka, he sits down and writes some stuff, usually doesn't care if it's politically correct or it's not, and he totally doesn't care if it would be acceptable in Canada or in Bolivia or whatever. So he just does it, and there is no system, or there is no real system of self-censorship like in the Western world to prevent such stuff from appearing on TV. And that's why on Japanese TV you sometimes get some really weird stuff. I don't really have a very high opinion of Japanese TV, to be honest, except from anime. I mean, anime is basically the one thing that is interesting on Japanese TV. The rest of it is, the Pride championships was also pretty good, but yeah, that was quite a long time ago. Just to give some examples, I mean, in the Western world, classic stereotypical gender roles with a strong white male and a weak female that needs to be protected and so on, that would be kind of difficult to publish today, because all the feminists would directly jump. And in anime, no problem. I mean, something like Hokuto no Ken or Berserk, yeah, you have the really super hardcore macho main character, and all the girls and women, he's like, come under my wing, baby. I think that's fine. I mean, both series are not the newest ones, and in modern anime there has actually been a bit of surge of strong female characters. I actually did a video on this, which I also consider quite good in a way, especially if they don't wear too much stuff. Kill la Kill is the best example in this respect. But yeah, a directly connected question is violence by men against women. Also an absolute taboo subject in the Western world. I mean, you can only depict it in a highly negative light, if at all. And in anime, no problem. Kurokami, the main heroine, just gets beaten up by men so hard that honestly it was kind of hard to watch. I mean, it was seriously a bit painful to watch at times. I mean, it's not a very well known anime, but I mean, stuff like this has also been done. So one more pretty fun non-politically correct thing that gets pictured in anime a lot is smoking or drinking, and the fun part is that this happens a lot in basically kids shows, so something like One Piece. I don't want to say this is particularly good, but Japanese children don't have a problem with that. They don't grow up being chain smokers or alcoholics or whatever, so it shouldn't be particularly critical. I mean, in my opinion, it isn't. And politically correct attempts to replace cigarettes with lollipops and drinking wine or whatever, sake, with Fanta. it's kind of stupid in my opinion, but yeah. Yet another one is funny racist stereotypes of black guys or foreigners in general, like Americans or Russians or whatever. Personally, I don't have anything against that. I mean, if I get depicted as the stereotypical stupid white bakagajin, that's perfectly fine with me. Why not? I mean, I've probably behaved often enough as your stereotypical white bakagajin, so it's some people may say, yeah, it's not good, it all should be regulated and prohibited and policed. But what I'd like to say to that is basically people grow up, get used to the real world. The real world is a pretty harsh place. There's lots of really bad stuff going on, and most of the stuff above, except again for the kids shows, is for adults, is for grown people. And basically, if you're offended by something like that, then you just need to grow up and take it less seriously, and take the world perhaps a bit less seriously. There's again vastly worse stuff going on out there, like 3 million children dying from hunger each year, 10,000 a day. Then something that needs replacing cigarettes with lollipops or whatever, or petitioning anime series to be banned entirely from some countries because they are they encourage people playing games or objectifying women or something like that. I can just can't take this seriously. So every time I see something like that, something blatantly politically incorrect or funny in an anime, I just have to laugh, because you don't really see this in the Western world anymore. I mean, people don't dare openly say things like that, except basically some comedians. I mean, comedians like George Carlin or something like that. They're the only people who openly dare say politically incorrect stuff. And that's why anime is so cool, because it just basically gives us a complete different perspective, complete different culture. And yeah, actually the the whole Japanese culture background behind anime should probably be made yet another positive point about it, but I kind of left it out because the counter argument could be that whatever country you take, it does have some culture of its own, and you can always say, yeah, it would be nice to have anime from country this or country that, or France or China or Mexico or whatever. But well, what can I say to that? Probably not all cultures are made equal. That's again something politically incorrect, but not all cultures are made equal, and not all cultures are equally good. Not all cultures are equally interesting, and the popularity of anime, it kind of shows what things are like. Anyway, it's been really long video. I'll probably split it into parts because it's probably been like an hour. So yeah, that's my rant for today. Thanks for watching. If you found it interesting, if you have any comments, if you have an opinion of your own, please write it in the comments below. If you think that the content is interesting, please subscribe. That kind of gives me an indication of how much interest there is. And basically that's it. See you next time. Arigatou gozaimasu. Mata ne.